Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast, Suchitra's Life, and you're listening to me, Suchitra. And I'm really sorry if you're listening any background noises. Well, I am in my room and I've closed all the doors and windows, but still, if you do end up listening to some noise, I'm really sorry. And I hope to keep my mic really close to me and, talk loudly. All right, so I'm back again to talk about another book, and I do come across some books from time to time that kind of kick my ass, literally. So, to be honest, this book is one of those books. And I picked this one up because I heard it to be in one of, I guess, some recommended lists somewhere. So I thought, why not? So the book is called Average Sucks by the author Michael Bernoff. And the book starts with the author talking about how he is not a great hockey player despite being athletic and is better than his peers. But slowly, this reflection rolls into an insight that he is just average, and how he changed his mindset to approach the sport and is playing pretty well after so many years. So, well, the concept of this book is that the author keeps reminding us that we are average, meaning we are the average of all our experiences and whatever we made of it so far. So he simply says that we have put ourselves in a box with four walls. And uh, I really liked the concept wherein he talks about these four walls that kind of blew my mind because we are the ones who are mainly limiting ourselves, but we sort of project it outwards. So for example, let me come back to the concept of walls. So he says that the first wall in our box, like the wall at the back, is our support wall. So this is what we have surpassed and we don't want to revisit. So we have things in the past that we refuse to accept as our average, be it personal or professional. So you've have had enough experiences that make you say, okay, you know what, I'm never going to go back being a certain way or settle for something. So once we don't want or don't see ourselves settling with something, then comes the next step. Well, if I don't want that and I don't want to go there, then what do I do next? The next wall in the front is termed as our dream wall. So it's the wall that keeps us from reaching our dreams. See the wall for what it is and knock it down, he says. So for example, one of his clients, he wanted to grow his business, but there was something or the other happening, like he wanted to bring in a new partner, expand his team, but something or the other was going wrong. And most of the times when things keep happening again and again, like something negative, we just stop ourselves from pursuing it altogether. But this client persisted and he just saw for what it is, and he just broke through that invisible wall that keeps you just average. For example, you want to get into content creation, but whenever you start something, you're hesitant and you're feeling conscious, and finally you just give up because you have nothing to say. But just imagine if you persist through that stage, that's when you start raising above your average. And the third wall, he says, is like, it's called identity wall. It is who you are, how you show up, and what people think of you. Your identity carries the strongest psychological pull to maintain your average. You live it, people see it, and that's how the cycle goes on. The identity wall could also limit you. Like, for example, you always told yourself that, okay, I've always been a corporate employee, and how could I even go and become a freelancer, because you have made the corporate job your identity. So all these kinds of walls. And the last and the most important one is the relationship wall. So he talks about the people in our lives. So these people, they will either grow with you and be left in your life, or they won't and they'll be left behind. There are also people that are there because your average keeps them. So these people are there to keep you safe, to make sure your life works the way you designed it. At the same time, they're keeping you inside your box. They are happy to support you as you continue being the person you are, and anything else makes them uncomfortable. You must decide who you want by your side. Well, if you do decide to change, then it can happen in two ways. It can happen via a peak emotional experience or by repetition. And when I was reading this book, I think the author has taken quite a bit of time to make us understand the term average. Like, when the author is referring that you are your average, he made sure to make us understand what he's actually trying to say. He's not saying we are average. He is like, whatever you have done so far in your life, it is just a phase, and you can rise above that phase and, like, push yourself in different ways. And the only way you'll ever get out of the box is to grow big enough to step out of it. So, how exactly do we do that? Well, you accept that you have a box that controls your average and you don't like it. You change your perceptions either in an instant or over time. You take actions that will raise your average. You get out of the box and into a new one. Good things come your way. So that's like a cycle that keeps repeating. And the only thing that will slow you down is your current average. And I think the author has done actually quite a good job in showing a lot of examples, which right now I'm not like really able to quote each and every example, but I will definitely talk about some examples that he discussed in the book. So, it's like you can either tell yourself that you are a gym freak, and then you can actually show up going to the gym consistently. So it's like you can change your actions, and that may start as a new year resolution but kind of die down a little once the first month of the year is done. But if you change your perspective, like, instead of saying you are a gym freak that is just focused on only one type of activity, that is exercise, instead of saying that, if you tell yourself that, okay, I am a healthy person, when you change your perspective about yourself, and I think that's when the actions tend to flow freely. I mean, that's what my understanding was when I was reading the book. So he says that use adversity to your advantage, because our current society encourages us to seek comfort and avoid adversity. We are not that familiar with adversity, and it doesn't really exist in the world as often anymore, and we can happily hide from it. We don't need to deal with it. So the author just says that, you need to accept your identity, but do not accept your average. For example, let's say you really want to change and, stay motivated throughout. So, how do you go about it? So, you can just ask yourself three questions like, what is your next goal you want to accomplish? What's the biggest challenge you'll have to overcome to get out of your box, which is keeping you from achieving that outcome? And what will you do to raise your average so you're able to get out of the box? So, these are some key questions, and the author asks us to, be really aware of our average, because sometimes we don't want to admit that we are average at certain things, especially things that we are doing every day, like, being average at your job. And though you're saying that you're really, really passionate about something, but actions wise, you haven't done really like any substantial amount of work, and you're still average. It's kind of hard to admit, because um it just it's like a blow to our ego, to be very honest. And I am average at quite a bit of things, and I this book was like, again, a slap in my face, because I do love making art, but I have not been consistent, and it's kind of affecting my confidence a little. But it's talk is just talk at the end of the day. I mean, you definitely need to back it up with action, with consistency as well. So he asks us to assess our average, like where we are, be it our physical health, relationship health, financial health. And once you accept that you're average at a particular thing, then you need to build from there. For example, he asks us to, look at increasing or raising our average like a target game. So inside the bullseye are non-negotiables, like things that you're going to do no matter what, like job, if you're married, being committed, if you have kids, raising them, etc. And after the bull's eye, there are these other bigger rings that can, you know, raise your average to quite a bit of uh, level. But we are so busy working on the non negotiables that we kind of let go of all the other things. So he says that increase the range of your bullseye, keep including more and more things in your non negotiables. And how do you go about doing that? It's by repetition, it's by doing them in small steps and being consistent. That's what he suggests us to do. And it's like, I think this book will it's a no fuss kind of a book. And I guess it's really important that you start your new year by reading a book that is like no fuss, that just, I mean, at least for me, that really helps, because I think I have a lot of ideas in my mind, but when it comes to execution, I'm not really there yet where I want to be, which is sort of a little disheartening. But I'm slowly um, building myself. So, all in all, I really loved certain things mentioned in this book. He's like, in order to stay motivated, you have to, you can have a trigger word, something that jolts you up and has some real personal meaning going on for you. Like, for example, let's say you're struggling to be motivated. Just imagine some things in your life that you've survived, and you become very emotional when you think about certain life events. And you can come up and coin a term for yourself, like whenever you're feeling lazy and you don't want to do something, just use a trigger word to just jolt you up and be like, hey, I I got to do things, I have bigger vision for myself and I'm much more than what I am right now. So such trigger words can help a lot. I haven't come up with one yet. I just feel like maybe my trigger word could be death, but yeah, I am not sure if it's uh, more than motivating me, it might scare me. So yeah, I'll have to choose my trigger word carefully. And the author Michael talks about also other things, especially like language patterns that you use in your day-to-day life. So instead of saying um, I'm gonna do exercise for 5 times in a week in the year 2026, instead of that you can simply use the phrase more often than not and change it to like, yeah, I'm going to exercise more often than not in the year 2026. And he also asks us to categorize our activities, whether these activities are helping us grow, or is it just mere entertainment or an absolute addiction. Like, for example, let me talk about myself a little. I guess I love YouTube. I get to learn and see other creators, other artists, how they are using different mediums to explore and play. I really like that. And I feel like I'm growing watching that. And sometimes I also watch it as entertainment, but I at times end up watching it to an extent where my daily routine is being disturbed. Now that is addiction. So something nutritious and was supposed to help me grow has slowly moved into like entertainment and then an addiction. So you need to understand what is helping you grow, what is mere entertainment, and what is addiction. And this is not just for tasks, this is also applicable for the food we eat, the people we hang out with, etc., etc. And Michael also says that people tend to have goals, but they don't get them. So, there's this word play that he does. Since he's a hockey player, he says that whenever I play, I get a goal. Whenever I score, I get a goal, right? So, it's only by doing an action that you can say you've actually achieved something, not just having them as a list or a to-do list. So there's this word play and language patterns that he talks about. Another one is try versus will. He says that try replacing the word try in your language to will. So instead of saying I'll try to be at the party or I'll try to be at the event, you could use the word will, like I will be at the event. So he just says that all these slight language pattern shifts can also help you, more often than not, and getting a goal versus having, and more often than not. And that's a phrase I guess I've fallen in love with when he explained in this book. Also, he just came up with an interesting formula of sorts, and that formula goes something like this: in order to raise your average, you need to stick to something like recency plus frequency plus duration plus intensity equals to conversion. So each of these terms, he goes on to explain them in detail in the book, and I am sure you guys will love it. Also, yeah, I mean, there's a lot packed in this book, and I feel like, okay, I've also kind of Okay, let me admit it. I am average in many areas of my life. I'm not, um, I don't know, I am an artist with no fundamentals, you can say, because I am kind of trying to still teach myself. So I'm pretty average. And to be honest, yeah, my podcast is also average because I'm mostly talking about books and I don't even do deeper delving into them because I mean, I at least felt like, okay, I should give shorter book reviews and just wrap them up. But I think this book made me think about, okay, it's high time, and I know I have some potential that I can make use of, and bring this version of myself into the world that is like so fulfilled, happy, and satisfied with her potential. So I hope and pray that I get to do that going forward, and I hope and pray the same to you all. That's about the book Average Sucks by Michael Bernoff, and I hope you guys would pick this one up as well. Until next time, take care.